business. Thank you all again for sharing about your business and the solutions that you provide to your clients. And I'm happy to see that there are people that, you have services that you target both corporate organizations and even individuals at the same time. That's a very good business. And I hope that for someone like Prosper, I hope that you have a business model where you're also targeting cooperative societies, common initiative groups, farmers associations, and things like that. That if you're going to scale and make a lot of money, you should always try to understand your customer base in terms of who are the individuals that can pay for my solutions and who are the institutions that can pay for my solutions. All right. So, um, like, like having Lamola said, she also is, are you a he or she? But you also serve hotels. That's good, right? Those are good institutions, guest houses, and what have you. All right. So today we are going to look at a very important element in business, which is basically marketing and customer acquisition. And I'm going to zero it down to something in particular because just marketing alone is a 6 months program if you're going to teach it well in an entrepreneurship lab, right? And before you begin to talk about customer acquisition and customer conversion, these are huge topics. And but I just felt led just trying to, and somebody who understands the Cameroon market space. We're going to zero it down on something that I strongly believe if you begin to do on a consistent basis with the right understanding, you can change the face of your business, right? So, and before I focus on that in particular, it is good to explain because one of the most important things that you need to learn how to do in business is understand the meaning of different principles, right? I have spent so many years providing training and consulting to businesses across different levels. And one of the biggest problems that I have discovered that many entrepreneurs and business owners have is that they don't understand the meaning of principles. They don't understand the meaning of certain laws that govern businesses, right? For example, I want to take time and really explain what is marketing and what is customer acquisition, because when you have the right understanding of certain principles, sometimes you can step outside of your business as an entrepreneur and you look at all that you do and you begin to weigh out which principles am I applying and which ones am I not applying? That is very important to do. And if you don't know these important business principles and what they mean, you're going to struggle, right? And because if certain principles are missing in your operations, in your intelligence, you are going to struggle running a very profitable business. Okay. So the host of the program has asked me to talk to you guys on the broader topic is marketing and customer acquisition. I don't want to assume that everybody knows what marketing is, right? I don't want to assume that. And I will try to lay a basic foundation to understand the principle of marketing and business, which can enable you to always rate yourself as a business owner. Am I doing marketing? Right. So I always say that in simple terms, marketing is how you get known by your target market. Right. And funny enough, marketing is one of my favorite things to study and to write about. I did marketing in high school and so on, and I taught marketing in the university for 4 years. both HND and first degree. I just love marketing, right? And it's such a powerful principle to understand as a person, right? So if somebody asks you in simple terms, what is marketing? Marketing is how you get known by your target market. For example, Lamola says that he does interior design. Let us say that he specifically mentioned diaspora, right? Cameroonians in the diaspora who are building houses back at home. That is his target market. And if I'm doing consulting with him and I'm doing some questioning around marketing, I will be asking him, so what actions are you taking that your goal is to make sure that Cameroonians in Europe, in North America, Middle East, Asia, and so on know that you exist in Cameroon? What actions are you taking? That is marketing. Because if your target market, if they are not consistent in knowing that you exist, something is wrong with you. So marketing basically answers the questions. How do people know that my business exists? Right? Many times when I do consulting, I'll ask people, so how are you currently marketing your product? And many people like to use, WhatsApp groups and, WhatsApp status. And I'm like, if you understand marketing, you would never be proud to say that posting on your WhatsApp status and even some WhatsApp groups is a marketing strategy. Worst of all, your WhatsApp status, because the same people are seeing it. If your marketing is going to succeed and produce results, you must make sure that you have marketing systems that consistently reach new people, right? Because you're always trying to answer the question as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, how do I make more strangers to know that this particular solution exists in my business? That's marketing. That's why, as an entrepreneur, if you have high marketing intelligence, you're always thinking of how to create more awareness and more interest towards your business. You're always thinking of more ways that you can generate visibility. You always think on a consistent basis. You're always thinking of more ways that you can attract new prospects, total strangers into your business. Many small and medium-sized business owners are struggling to scale their business because it is just within friends, family, and neighbors and acquaintances, right? And marketing, a good marketing system should help you to create a system around your business that enables strangers to know that you exist on a daily basis. And that is why if marketing is going to work in your business, you must learn to have a budget for your marketing. Because if your business will get noticed by strangers, you have to use some money so that they can notice you. So, for those of you that run businesses right now, do you even think about marketing on a consistent basis? Do you have clear actions that you take on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? And the goal is not to get people to buy even. The goal is simple: creating more awareness, generating more interest, generating more visibility, just getting people to know that you exist, even if they don't buy. That's the goal of marketing. And that is where the second element for today comes in, which is customer acquisition. Customer acquisition falls under sales. There's a difference between marketing and sales, right? So customer acquisition now, and this is very important because if you do marketing, especially if you are using money, if you have a marketing budget with terrible customer acquisition system in your business, you are going to waste money. Because what converts marketing into money in any business is customer acquisition. Because customer acquisition is the system that you have created, you have established. And the purpose of that system is to have a deliberate process of converting interested prospects that your marketing attracted into paying for your services. You see that? So, what is that deliberate process that you have established? And the purpose of that process is to convert interested prospects into paying customers. So, you will have certain actions in place, certain systems in place, certain relationship building efforts in place. You have all of that in place. Why? Because customer acquisition strategies, they answer the question, how do I turn these people that marketing is bringing into people who buy from me? I'm sure there are some of you here that maybe you heard about a restaurant and maybe you entered there to get some food, and maybe at the end you did not get the food because something was wrong. You are willing to spend your money. Marketing brought you, but you did not end up, paying and eating their food. Maybe poor customer service. They spoke to you wrongly. The food over delayed. Something funny happened within the process. You see, you were a willing customer to pay, but because of poor customer conversion and acquisition process within that restaurant, you left with your money and did not buy their value because of the process that they have in place. You see that? So, as a business, and this is where, if you are going to make money in business, you cannot play with having a very strong, vibrant, consistent customer acquisition strategy. You cannot play with that. You cannot play with that. If not, if you have a marketing budget, you're going to keep wasting money in that marketing budget because there are no systems to convert the prospective customers into paying customers. There's a difference between an interested customer and somebody who is paying for your services. And the strategy that enables somebody to move from being a prospect into a paying customer is customer acquisition. So, do you have one? Let me give you a basic example. Many times I do trainings, and before any training goes to the public and we start promoting on social media and different platforms, we do a couple of things to make sure that we can convert people that are interested into paying customers. And one of the things I normally always do is that I create what I call customer acquisition messaging. For my average training that I'm promoting, I have at least 5 messages I have pre-typed, that the moment you say hello on WhatsApp or on a Facebook page or on LinkedIn or Instagram, the moment you say hello and you indicate interest in that particular product, because everything you do, the goal is to get somebody to be interested to contact you. The process that got them to be interested to contact you, that's marketing. And the moment they say hello to you, the moment you start typing, or if you pick a phone and call them, that moment is the beginning of customer acquisition. And you need to be very strategic about it and very deliberate about it. So I will create 5 messages and have them ready. Convincing, amazing, crafted messages, and the goal is to get your money. Right? Because the goal is the moment somebody says hello, there should be a system on ground to convert a prospect, an interested person, into a paying customer. That is why the purpose of customer acquisition is simple: convert interest into paying customers, generate revenue. Remember, I said that marketing generates visibility, but visibility cannot pay bills. So marketing generates visibility, but customer acquisition is what makes the money. Marketing can attract prospects, interested people, but it is customer acquisition that will acquire paying clients. These are two important principles to understand, read more about, practice, refine, test yourself, ask questions, get more coaching if you can. Because these two key principles, if they are not in your business, you can have the best product in the city, in the country, but yet you're broke and you're not making sales, right? Because you're not spending time to understand that, look, marketing is an art and it's a science. Same for customer acquisition, and you need to study it and make sure that you are good at it. All right. If you're following and this is a blessing to you, can you type 100% in the chat box? If not, I will stop talking. Right? If it's not blessing you. Okay. But I hope that helped you. All right. And the purpose of that is, please, if you're a serious entrepreneur, you're always constantly thinking of that. These two principles. Sometimes you look at your business. You can spend a Sunday, you can spend an afternoon, just look at, okay, how is my marketing like? Because you now understand this principle and how important it is. All right. Now, based on the role of social media and how social media is growing at the rate that it is growing right now, there are some things that if you understand about social media, you can be very good, with with marketing and customer acquisition. And I want to talk about how to post on social media in a way that builds strong marketing and also help you to make money from what you're selling. Many people don't understand, how to create content on social media in a way that it can act as a marketing whole and at the same time a customer acquisition platform. Right. You see, I started writing a lot years ago about how to build, manage, and monetize attention. I think that book is right there. The book I wrote on that, how to build, manage, and monetize attention, especially on social media, because that is where the world is right now. And social media penetration will keep on advancing. As the older generation dies and go, the generation that, you know, social media came and met them at a younger age. Most of them are now in their 30s, in their 40s, even in their 50s, right? And there are some that they were born in social media generation, right? That's why I keep on saying that from 2020 and beyond, if you run a business and you are not searchable on the internet as a whole, you are literally invisible. And that is a big problem for your business. And that will automatically affect your marketing and your customer acquisition. You see, I've had people pay me for services because I did not have to convince them to do that. All they needed to do was to research, social media, research on the internet as a whole. And they decide, okay, he has what we need for this particular job. And then they pay for it. So my presence alone on the internet acts both as marketing and as customer acquisition without me saying a word. That's the beauty of this. You see. So if you're listening to me right now and you are not searchable, and when I say searchable, if somebody searches your name or your business name, if they cannot see something that can make them have interest in you, that is marketing. And number two, if they are not moved to even pay for your services before thinking if they can afford you, and that is customer acquisition, something is wrong with part of your strategy. Because we are now in a generation where a strong and well curated digital footprint is you cannot call it your credibility certificate, right? The new resume, the new CV right now is how your name and what you do, how it shows up online. It has become a new CV, a new resume, right? I keep saying that we are now in the scrolling economy. You definitely scroll today, I'm sure. We're in a scrolling economy, right? And if you understand how to be active the right way as a business owner, you can change something in what you're building. You see that? And but the challenge is there is a way to begin to focusing today on how can you post, how can you create content in a way that that content can act both as a marketing tool and as a customer acquisition tool. That's the purpose of that. Because it is possible to post or to share content on social media for 10 years and still have no brand for yourself and for your business, and still have no clients, and still make no money, but yet you're on social media. But yet you call yourself a business owner. And many a times people confuse the difference between popularity and having a brand and being influential. There are many popular pages on social media and they're struggling financially. What is the difference? They don't know how to apply certain business principles to make good use or to monetize that particular popularity. Okay. So, because the goal is to avoid being somebody who has many followers on social media, and when you post something to sell, no one buys. What is missing? Marketing and customer acquisition. But when you post stupidity, when you post entertainment, it goes viral. But when it's time to sell, you cannot sell anything. Something is wrong, right? And that is a very good example of popularity without a strong brand. And that's why many people can have hundreds of followers, even thousands of followers, and they don't know how to tap into that market. So I want to show you how you can begin to convert that into both marketing and customer acquisition, because posting alone is not strategy. There are things that when you begin to do with the right understanding and the right wisdom, you can change a lot of things in what you are doing. All right. So quickly, here's how you can begin to share content on social media. And let me say this, listen to me. If you are listening to me and you own a business and you don't have a content creation strategy for your business, you are literally playing offside, as we say in football. If you don't have a system, I'm talking about running a business and you're serious about making money. If you don't have a daily consistent system that enables you to show up and create the right content for your business, there's a big problem as far as your entire operations are concerned. Except that you have a very good offline marketing strategy that is making you so much money that you don't need more clients online. Right. So If you don't have that, start thinking about that. But what I'm going to talk about today, I'm talking about those who are making efforts already to show up, and they need the understanding and the practical intelligence to show up the right way with the right results. Okay. Number one, stop posting for likes. Stop posting for likes and start posting for positioning. This is very important. Stop posting for likes and start posting for positioning. Except you are an entertainer, you have no business posting content because you want to get likes. You are not there to entertain and to get likes, because likes will never pay your bills. Likes will never, affect your profit and loss statement as a business owner. So it is better for you, both in the short term and in the long term, to create content and post for the sake of positioning yourself as a voice in this industry. The person doing interior design, if he's creating content, the aim is not to post a nice house that can get him more likes that he has decorated. No. The aim is, how is he posting that content in a way that can position him as an expert and as a voice in that particular sector. You see, one of the most amazing things that if you learn to do on social media, it will change your life, is to understand how to build authority in a sector and how to, drive the perception around that authority that you have. You see that? You begin to build that trust and you begin to attract the right people to buy and pay for your services. And let me give you a very important tip. If you are serious at getting clients, for example, you see, personally for me, there are many times that I like to write long content, right? Because I'm into consulting and training and speaking and things like that. I don't write content so that it's short so people can go viral. Many times, people that read my content don't even like and comment, because they are busy people and they are corporate people, and they want to be, they want to be subtle on social media. I have shared content, and that content has just 5 likes, but gets 2 clients from that content that pay hundreds of thousands of francs. You see that? Because when you begin to post for positioning, when you begin to share content for the sake of building authority as a voice, that is the content that will market you and at the same time attract clients to you. Let me give an example. Here's what I do personally, right? When it comes to sharing content on social media for the purpose of positioning myself and building authority, so that the same content I share can act as marketing to create awareness in what I can do and to also attract people to reach out to me so I can convert them to paying clients. I always try to look at my content in terms of, when I'm communicating something, the purpose is trying to let the reader knows that, hey, or the listener, here is the problem I saw. That's the kind of content that can change your life. Here's the problem I solve. Or here is what I have helped people to achieve. You see that? The guy who runs the agri innovative business, if he's creating content around agriculture, maybe there is somebody that he advised, since part of his business is consulting and knowledge sharing. And there is a farmer that he advised, and the farmer also bought chemicals from him. And the farmer shared an amazing feedback, and the harvest was amazing. He can create a very interesting content around that. And the purpose of that content is to communicate to the reader, here is what I have helped other people to achieve. Well communicated. That is the content that somebody can read and he can market to you. Oh, if I have a farm problem, I can contact him. Or a farmer is reading at the moment and the farmer has a big problem regarding the harvest they have been experiencing, they can reach out to you and you can convert them into a paying customer. Another content can be, here's how to work with me. Sometimes you can, that's why I'm sure many of you have seen content like a day in the life of a teacher, a consultant, a coach. I'm sure you have seen content like that. Those kind of content falls around trying to communicate, here's how to work with me. Here's how it looks like in the work I do. The purpose is both marketing and, of course, acquisition of customers. Sometimes it is content to educate. Here's how this and that works. For example, let's go back to the agricultural guy. Maybe there's a new product, a new, whether pesticide, insecticide. He can create a video content or a written content. And the purpose of that content is, here's how this insecticide works, and here's how you can apply this. That is content that positions you and attracts the right people. Sometimes you can just create content to talk about the mistakes that people often make in the work that you do and advise them on what to stop doing. You see, because if you post to get likes, you will not get paid. But if you post or share content for positioning, you're going to get paid. You get a difference. So you can create one content, and that one content, that one single content can market you to some people, and that one single content can acquire customers for you. One content at one time. You see that? Because you are not just creating content that makes people feel good and like you and laugh. No, you're not creating content just to inform people. No, you're creating content to position yourself and your business as a trusted authority in that field. You don't just post for posting's sake. No. When you show up on social media, on any platform, you carry a strategic purpose for why you are there. That is why, if you understand what I'm saying, you stop sharing generic content if you're out to make money and promote your business. Because generic content does not market and does not acquire customers. So you must be very targeted and very specific with that. So start thinking, how can I start posting for positioning, not just for sharing sake? And you start thinking of content you can begin to post in what you do, and you're focusing on communicating the problems that you solve and your business solve. And you start sharing content around the clients you have helped in the last few months or few years. And you start sharing content on how people can work with you and the kind of experience they are going to get. You see that? That is the content that will market you and get customers for you. Number two, I have like 10 of these points, but I'm going to share just 3 for time's sake. We started late, all right? So number 2, what is the second thing that if you begin to do on social media the right way, you are going to market yourself and acquire customers? There is something I call branded content ecosystem. Branded content ecosystem. In simple terms, build a branded content ecosystem. Now, What that means is you can look at what you do to identify, let's say, 3 to 4 major content areas to tie your brand to those areas, and also for the purpose of monetizing, right? For example, the guy who shared that he runs an interior decoration business. Apart from other things that you can do, sometimes you can decide and make up your mind that, you know what, I'm going to specialize in branding myself as an expert in decorating the interior of female executives. You focus on that, right? You pick that area, and you can pick another one. So you know what? I'm going to specialize on decorating guest houses. Because the goal is you want to build a branded content ecosystem. Can you do many other things? Yes, of course. But there is a lot of power when you constantly show up on social media in a way that somebody can look at your brand and look at what you consistently do, and they can come to the conclusion, this area, this area, this area, he or she is a great expert in that area. And how do you do this? Number one, you identify your skill set based on all the skill sets you have around that business. What are your top 3, top 4 skill sets that you are really, really good at? Super excellent. Number 2, begin to study the results that you have created for your clients in those 4 areas. Number 3, sit with yourself and begin to create the framework. Begin to create the step-by-step process that you go through to achieve certain results. It's very important, right? Number 4 under this is begin to master how to tell stories that reveal the value that you create with those top skills that you identify. Why? Because it has been proven, research after research, that career stories, industry stories, business success stories that reveal impact, reveal real results, attract customers faster. You see, and the goal of this is you want to get yourself to that place where people can remember easily that if I need this, this is the best expert I have seen on my timeline. Because the goal is the more people can remember you and keep repeating that process of thinking about you, that you are the one that can solve their problem, it changes a lot. So you will be creating that content, whether it's video content, whether it's written content, and you'll see that same content attracting people through marketing or quickly converting people, because when they reach out to you, they know already this is the trusted expert. You are not trying to convert them to buy. They are the ones asking, how much do you charge for this service? You're not trying to make them decide if they're going to pay. No, they're coming to you. They have decided you are the expert they want to pay. And they're asking for the price so you guys can agree, so they can pay you and you deliver the value. So talking about building a branded content ecosystem, when you begin to post, whether you have picked 4 areas, 3 areas, whatever you have decided, right? Let's say, going back to the guy who does interior, let's say he has picked, you know what, I'm going to start promoting myself as an expert in decorating corporate offices for female professionals and executives. Second is guest houses. Right. Third is maybe let's add what? Hotels. Or let's add, homes for rich people. And he focuses on these three. Now, if he's focusing on these three, based on this concept on building a branded content ecosystem, every post, every content that he's sharing, the goal is to answer the question, why should I pay this person? When somebody is reading your post or listening to the video that you share, whatever they are contacting, whatever they are experiencing, should provide the answer to the question, why should they pay you for that particular project? So when you begin to operate from this way, you're going to see that every post that you make, every content that you share will be helping you do two things: attracting new people into your life, strangers into your business, and number two, converting people to make up their minds to pay for you and what you do. So the entire business that you run, the person in decoration, the person in agri innovation, and every other part of business that you run, if you were to pick three top areas, four major services, which will they be and how will you brand them to form your branded content ecosystem and begin to share that? It will change a lot of things for you. All right, the last point for today. One time I was talking to a client, and after I had studied his social media pages, I said, you're creating content, but your content is not bridging the gap. Create content that bridges the gap. You see, there is content that broadcasts, but there is content that bridges the gap between the person reading or the person watching and you and your business. So if you're going to have content that can act as a marketing tool and a customer acquisition tool, you must learn to create a post or create content that bridges the gap, not content that just broadcasts stuff. So let me give an example of content that bridges that gap between you and the person reading. Should have one or more of the following. Number one, the content should have an education portion. Any content that educates people, at some point within that content, is content that bridges the gap. Because education means you know what they're talking about, and if I have that problem, reach out to me. You have closed that gap. That's why if you run a business and you are not into constant education, you're going to negatively affect how you attract customers. Number two, content that solves a problem. Right? So you create content and you use that in that content, you are teaching somebody how to solve a possible problem that they may have. It bridges that gap. And if they see that you're trying to help them solve a problem, guess what? If they cannot do it on their own, you have created the platform where they can confidently reach out to you for help and pay for your solution. You see, so one, content is acting as marketing and customer acquisition. Number three, content that invites the reader or the listener or somebody who's watching into action. What are you pushing them to do through that content? When you create it towards the end, you can give them an assignment, you can push them to do something. Guess what? If they're stuck, they don't know how to do that, and they want to do it, they're going to reach out to you. They're bridging that gap. Create content that build trust, especially through proof of impact or you telling a story of what you have done. If you create content and you're telling a story of how you help another client to achieve this and that, guess what? Somebody reading that who has that problem or knows somebody who has, it's already a platform for them to reach out to you. You have bridged that particular gap. So what am I saying? When you are out there as a business person, you are either broadcasting or you're constantly bridging the gap between the people coming in contact with what you're creating and your business. So don't just post, don't just talk. Let your content lead people somewhere. If education is your content, it is leading people somewhere. If in your content you are solving a problem, it is leading people somewhere. If you're inviting them into action, there is that leading happening. If you're telling a success story, you are leading them somewhere. So either marketing is happening or customer acquisition is happening. That's why I always say that if your post, if your content on social media, if you're in business and you're trying to make money, if your content on social media doesn't make people to think, to act, or to buy, you are just making noise. Your content on social media should make somebody think, should make somebody act, or make them buy from you. All right. So begin to look at, okay, based on the current business I run right now, how can I begin to create these kinds of content? And guess what? These three things I have shared today, you can customize them to offline marketing strategies, and they will still work for you. All right. So sit with these things, think about them, try to contextualize in the business that you run, and try to apply them. The more business strategies you have access to in terms of knowing that they exist, and the more you take action to implement in your business, the more you become a proficient businessman. That is why many businesses have their biggest breakthroughs from the 7th year or the 10th year or the 15th year running a business. You know why? Because the person who started a business spent many parts of the years making mistakes, becoming proficient, and developing more weapons or more arsenals into their business, toolbox that enables them to now be more proficient after a few years. A business owner who attends programs like this, you read books, and you don't try to apply anything in your business, you can still remain a poor, helpless businessman, businesswoman after 10 years or 15 years. Because the only thing that builds your proficiency and builds your business skill set is your constant application of what you are exposing yourself to. That's why go and read the stories. Many businesses that the biggest breakthroughs happen from the 7th year, sometimes from the 10th year, from the 15th year, operating consistently. Because it takes time to become proficient, to become a master. It takes time to have a workable process that you can execute seamlessly and produce the biggest results that you want. All right. I wanted to keep about 10 minutes for questions, and then I'm done for today. I hope that it was a blessing to you and you learned a few things that can help you in your business in terms of marketing and customer acquisition. If there are questions, please go ahead and ask your questions.